Hello and welcome once again to another Link to the Past Randomizer Team Race League matchup. Tonight we have a awesome race between Hyrule Track and Field and Fort Fitters Are Us with Tabbycat54 and the Recitador. That's going to be a little bit hard for me to get through. That's a lot of R's and a lot of rolling. As I have myself, Worldwide Wimpy here, and Antisim. Is that correct? Antisim? Antisim. And our wonderful tracker, Moogle Charm, marking all of the items that we do find here in the race this evening. Now, these two teams are in the Hyrule Castle division. The Fort Fitters Are Us are actually leading the division with a possible 9 points out of 9. Right on their heels are the Double Dippers, but they do have a loss to their credit, so they only have a possible 9 out of 12. If you're wondering about where the Hyrule Track and Field are at, they're sitting near the bottom, but lots of time to make up room as we are in week 2 of the Race League, which means we have an Ambrosia seed. Antisim, if you would, go ahead and explain to us exactly what we're in store for with this seed.
Alright, yeah, so with Ambrosia, you start with a sword, it's standard mode, and the uncle gives you a hint about where the boots are. And not only that, but you also get an item on each boss. That helps with routing, helps with item locations, and overall, I find the mode actually kind of fun to play.
Yeah, so that big thing you would be thinking, where are those boots? Oh, I can go and get them. But then you have to remember, with an item being on the boss, places like Skullwoods only have 1 item before Mothula. You have Thieves Town only having 3 before you hit Blind. So you really have to plan your routing out and count your items as you're getting them throughout the whole seed.
Absolutely.
Now, we're about to prepared with enough time to go ahead and see what these racers do. They should be starting relatively soon.
Though it seems the Fort Fitters Are Us haven't really been standing up to their names. They've won all of their matches so far.
Yes, speaking of which, these teams have already matched up here in week 2. Fort Fitters Are Us coming out ahead with Humberg at a time of 1:33.47. Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna did not finish his seed, obviously figuring out that whenever it was that his opponent decided to end.
Sword. Sorry, we got a sword right away.
Yeah, that Master Sword in Link's house here. We got that clue where those boots are. They're somewhere in that light world.
That was... Normally don't see an early sword on top of an early sword, basically.
Alright, as we see our wonderful tracker, making sure we get that all marked and cited for you racing fans this evening.
There's some nice early bombs, so don't have to worry about farming enemies.
Yes,
the uncle there.
That's the big key in this standard open start, or standard start. You do have to do the escape sequence, which means we're saving Princess Zelda from her cell today.
So do you think there'll be anything more of value in escape here?
Usually how Ambrosia likes to do it, they like to stack up a lot of items in this escape sequence. And some of the seeds we've seen, people have the actual highest grade sword 6 minutes into a seed, or having tempered before you even enter Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, so we'll see.
As we see the setup for the quick kill here on Tabbycat's side. We're basically about to sync here. We're going to be synced up for a little while, I assume, with this Ambrosia seed. Kind of forcing you to route your stuff in early on in the same direction.
Yeah, a lot of runners like to go straight to CAC from here, so...
Now, I would like to remind you that since this is a very large team league racing, we have a total of 64 teams. 2 players must race from each team every single week. That's 128 races, with each seed approximately being 2 hours. If you do the math, that's more than a week's worth of racing. So we stretch ourselves to get all of these races broadcasted over the Speed Gaming Network, along with the ALTTPR League Gaming channel here on Twitch.
Yeah, and I don't think we've missed a match yet this week, which is pretty awesome.
That's all thanks to our wonderful commentating volunteers, our trackers, and the admins for the Speed Gaming and League Racing channel, making sure we get all of this broadcasted for all of our wonderful Randomizer fans.
Hello, Quake.
So we have a question in the chat. How do the teams work? Well, there are 3 players on each team. Each racer must race 4 weeks, so that way you're not just stacking, oh, this one player only races 1. So each member has to do 4 races. There are later in the season seeds where you are doing co-op, where you're doing piloted seeds, so everyone does get a chance to play in the majority of the weeks.
Yes, and I think each runner is assigned a medallion, and depending on your medallion, or not medallion, pendant, each runner is assigned a pendant. And depending on your pendant is what races you play, what weeks you play, I think.
I think that only goes with the playoffs.
Oh, just the playoffs. Okay.
Yeah, that's for playoff purposes. During the regular season, I think it's just up to the teams. But that kind of ensures you're not stacking your team with, oh, okay, we have these 2 runners who have been playing for 4 years versus this team that's only been running for 6 months. We're just going to run the 2 same players every single week.
That makes sense.
So as we get through to the backside of Escape, we haven't found a lamp, which you would assume that means we're going to have to dark room. But no, the randomizer is nice enough to give us a light cone only for this part of the standard start sequence. So if they were to re-enter this area after completing it and saving Princess Zelda from her terrible, terrible fate, it would be completely dark. And as we saw, our runners fortunate enough to find some bombs in a chest, not going to have to farm up those rupees. Or, in this case, the bombs either, because they found 300 in Dark Cross.
Yeah, it's an early start for our Zora play here.
So, fortunately enough, with so many teams and so many racers, you can basically find a race at any time. We've had a race start at 12:30 in the morning Eastern Time yesterday. We're going to have one early morning for you on the West Coast at tomorrow at 10:10 a.m. Eastern. We have a Link to the West Coast versus Missing Bow. That's Zeitnix versus Tally. Super early rando to start off your Saturday morning.
We got some flippers in the sewers. Definitely a nice escape here.
That will allow us to loop in any Zora checks should we decide to go to South Shore or go visit a friendly neighborhood hobo underneath a bridge. We also have a bottle for that poor sick child who has been quarantined in Kakariko Village. As we find just a piece of heart in the sanctuary here. Be interesting to see if we get a lumberjack check. We do get a map check over on Recitador's side. I did see a pendant in Desert. I do believe that was a green one.
The rest were all crystals, just standard. Oh, that's a nice tree pull. I think that's the tier 3 tier pull. All 8 bombs.
That is very convenient. That ensures our runners should never have a good supply or be out of a good supply of explosions. As we do get that map check, it was a nice crystal over in Desert. We are, oops, all blue crystals. As we see just 20 rupees in the vanilla mushroom spot.
Yeah, with all that early money, nobody's going to pick that up.
As we see Tabbycat going to skip through and pass up that piece of heart, saving approximately a second and a half. As we get our Kakariko village checks here, where we are entering Blind's hut. Not much surprise here with our runners running essentially the same routing for this ambrosia seed. Finding more roops and more pieces of heart inside a Blind's cell, or Blind's hideout here.
Very rich seed so far. Oh, but the mirror hiding out in the back of Blind's hideout. That doesn't get us anywhere right now, but later on when we want to get up to Death Mountain, it'll be very useful.
It's very interesting to find that mirror in Blind's hut here, seeing as though Blind really can't see with it.
Very true.
As we find ourselves in Kakariko Well, just finding a bomb cache here. As we see Tabby getting more roops, blue and red. And a tempered sword here in the left-hand chest in the front of Kakariko Well. We're going to be melting through bosses tonight.
It definitely will not be low percent today.
As we just get a piece of heart from our turban-wearing friend here in Kakariko, we have ourselves a chicken hut. No wall clip today for our friendly chickens.
With more health.
We're going to be checking the pub over here on Tabby's side. Recitador is going to visit that poor sick child. And find more roops. He must be a very enthusiastic bottle collector.
Either that or he's paying us for giving him the cure.
It's very possible. As we're going to get a library check and a race game check before we more than likely head towards South Shore with those flips. Let's see what we can study about that's on that bookshelf ledge. Just some more explosions.
Tabbycat going straight for the race game. And so is Recitador.
Makes sense. You already know that this seed has been super generous with giving you items, so why not assume that the race game will do such?
Very true.
As we get a peek, it's another piece of heart.
It's a very giving seed. Almost like it has a bleeding heart.
It just wants to show you a little bit of love. As we do see the save and quit from Tabby, it will be interesting to see if Tabby decides to do the dam first. It looks like Tabby is. Makes perfect sense. Though I have seen a lot of runners decide to go to Mini Moldorm and then start heading left, pick this up along with Agina.
But those flippers I think will take them farther over. And especially with that money right there.
Yeah, that's definitely Zora money confirmed. As we watch Tabby and Recitador use a neat little trick that you can do at home. As you're pushing a block, you spam that Y button and you clip right on through.
And we have a bow.
So that does put a potential out of logic clear for Eastern Palace for our runners. As we prepare to enter into this mini Moldorm cave, it will go quick with that fancy orange sword.
And we have our first divergence. Recitador is going over to Agina.
There's really no good time to get him unless you're routing him in with desert checks or having the flute. As we find Tabbycat finds a spade for digging holes, a lamp that puts all of Eastern Project,
and our boots.
Eastern Palace into logic with that lamp and those boots. Gonna be a quick clear for Tabby.
Gotta go fast.
Thank you, Dr. Droll. I appreciate that you are starting to recognize the sound of my voice. As we find a butter sword inside of Agina.
Wow. This seed definitely wants you to be well equipped for any bosses that may come at you.
Well, you know what they say, a good defense is nothing but spamming a gold sword and arrows, so makes perfect sense.
That it does. And Tabby's setting up the water walk here. Does have those flippers, but it is much faster to just run over the water.
As it looked like Ice Rod Cave had absolutely nothing for us this evening. Gonna be melting these mini Moldorms real quick in mini Moldorm Cave for Recitador.
Tabby has to be careful not to walk over any shallow water, because if they do, they lose the boots water walk immediately.
Yeah, that gives you the... well, fortunately, because we do have the flips, it doesn't auto-kill you, but it does slow you down should you lose that water walk. As Recitador finds that lamp, finds that shovel, finds those boots, heads over to Ice Rod Cave, and going to be just behind Tabby and checking all of those flippers checks. Now this is interesting. Recitador decided to swim to Ice Rod Cave. Those boots would have been a little bit faster to dash through.
Yeah, it is faster to swim if you don't have boots, but if you do...
As we see Tabby just orphaning off the rest of their flippers checks, going straight to Eastern Palace. Makes sense. You have the Sage's Closet that has 3 items. You have a full clear Eastern, which also has 3 items. As we find our second bottle in here with the old man in the Eastern Palace area. As we see Recitador using those water walk strats as well. Gonna see what's on Hylia Island. Just a shield. Visiting our friendly neighborhood hobo. As we watch Tabbycat enter into the dreaded Eastern Palace.
Won't be quite so dreaded today with bow and tempered sword already, though.
As we get those 10 arrows from that friendly neighborhood hobo, Recitador has a choice: head to Eastern or continue the flips checks. We'll see if there's any divergence here.
Sankheart in the first chest of Eastern Palace.
As we watch Recitador head for the rest and remainder of the flippers checks. We have 2 here in the Waterfall Ferry. We have a friendly fish who will take 500 of your dollars for an item, and another one that he left that fell out of his pocket. As we find our first pair of gloves inside of the fairy fountain.
That will be nice. Now we have Hera access and can clear it completely with that lamp. If the big key is fire locked.
We just see 10 more arrows on that Zora ledge. going to go give ourselves a visit to that friendly fish-faced member of Hyrule.
See if he's a scam artist today like he normally is.
Nice quick Staphostrum kill for Tabbycat.
Oh, he's even worse. Just a single rupee off of that. For 500.
The big key for forfeiters are us, and the Recitador was finding those gloves, but I would imagine Tabby wouldn't be too far behind in checking those flipper dips after completing Eastern Palace.
Yeah, those gloves might be our only gloves in Light World, but don't know that yet.
As we see Recitador heading straight to Eastern Palace, skipping the old man and his closet.
Looks like we unfortunately did not get to skip the big key chest here in Eastern, because it is vanilla, even though it's Ambrosia.
So, interesting enough, this is Recitador's first race in the league this season. Last week he did not run for his team and his teammates. Tabbycat did run last week, ended up coming a little bit behind in their seed, only being about 10 minutes behind the winner for Did You Check Your Boots?
Oh, Tabbycat forgetting to grab the key from the Igor.
Now, here in the ALTTP Team Race League, we never want any runners to lose. We want them all to win. But unfortunately, we can only have a tie in that circumstance, and most of the time, we still have our winner.
We've only had one tie so far in the first 2 weeks, I believe.
There's been a couple of ties. I think there were 2 in the first week, none so far this week. I'll have to double check that when we get a break in the action.
Tabbycat going for the top right kill. Ooh, just one arrow too early there.
Yep, a little too quick on the draw. That's okay, had plenty of arrows in their quiver to knock out the Armos for our first crystal at 20 minutes and 18 seconds. As we see Recitador working their way through the dark rooms of Eastern Palace, nice and easy with that lamp. As we get a save and quit from Tabbycat.
So I can go check that shovel. We got our first fetch quest. Check here.
Makes sense, you've got it for some reason. The seed wouldn't give it to you unless there has to be some type of progression there, right?
Of course, that's how all fetch quests work these days.
Now we see Recitador skipping that big chest. We do know that finding 2 items in the front means the last item is on our Armos.
So unfortunately, just a heart on that dig spot.
Looks as though Tabbycat's going to be routing in those bonk rocks with... Oh, no! Went to the house, going to do the rest of their flippers checks, which means we're a short amount of time away from Tabbycat finding that first pair of gloves.
Yeah, all in all, our runners are very even with the checks that they've done.
Makes sense. Ambrosia does that. Knocking out Hyrule Castle early and putting you right out at Kakariko Village will do that. Oh, Recitador missing that first cycle on the red Igors. That's okay. They're nice and easy to kill. As we see a lower right setup from Recitador, a little bit safer, but a little bit slower. and gets through those Armos, finds those 20 rupees, and gets their first crystal of the seed. Tabbycat picking up the gloves as we were watching that Armos fight, going to find that only the greatest of life lessons can be learned by giving $500 reduce to a wise fish. As we watch Recitador check Sasra's closet here, we know it's really only a second bottle, but we do get that green pendant in Misery Mire.
Ooh, that's a nice if you never want to go there. Because Misery Mire is one of those dungeons that can take forever, and when it's go mode, it's never a god mode. So.
As we get that Bonk Rocks check from Tabby, more than likely going to be heading up that mountain. As Recitador is not that far behind. No! Okay, taking the long way, ignoring those Bonk Rocks.
Maybe he wants to route them in later with King's Tomb.
Would make sense. You already have that mirror, so it only takes just a Titan's mitts away from being able to route that all in.
Exactly, yeah. Especially you can grab Graveyard Ledge right there as well with that route.
Yeah, that puts 3 in logic checks for you. You won't need, with the boots, you won't need that additional glove upgrade, so you can get all 3 in one nice, tidy little area.
Yep.
Finding that Gary Oldman only has a little bit of love for us this evening. Nice little spin speed strats here from Tabbycat. Gonna put themselves a little bit more ahead of Recitador, but our players are essentially step for step in this logic. And we see a blue cane, a cane of Burna here on Spectacle Rock, and just some bombs inside. Now, chat, we're still 1 item away from having Dark World access, either that upgraded glove or a hammer. Otherwise, we're gonna have ourselves an Agaseed.
We still do need that Moon Pearl.
Yeah, so we need 2 items to get us through, as we see our bunny sprites.
Okay, we got a map check here, and we have red crystals on Thieves Town and Skull Woods. I think I saw 2 pendants.
Ice Palace and Turtle Rock
yes.
are other pendants. So the back end of Vanilla Link to the Past, we may not have to check at all.
Yeah, and hopefully these runners are probably hoping that Kane is locked somewhere where they never find it. That way they don't have to go into Turrock at all.
Yeah, the only thing at this point that may be necessary with that red cane is the right side of GT. As both of these players progressing through Tower of Hera, hoping to find that 1 item before finding a small key. Now, do remember, we have items on our bosses. Maps, compasses, big keys, and small keys cannot be on the respective dungeon bosses. As Tabby having a little bit of difficulty with those mini Moldorms, they can be a bit of a silly thing. Luckily, Moldorm himself is not too tricky to deal with. The real risk is being knocked off of the platform.
Neither are going for the bomb jump to get to the Hera big chest, instead of opting to go upstairs and dropping down.
As we find a map inside the big chest, that means our 1 item in Hera outside the boss is fire-locked in the basement.
I see that actually happening quite a lot in Ambrosia, where the last item's been fire-locked.
Well, when you eliminate 1 item from the pool and guarantee it on the boss, that lessens the possibilities of map and compass and other items being on him, so it would make sense that it's a higher chance of finding items in places you really don't want to check.
Quite true.
As we see a couple of sword swipes, a couple of sword spins, and our moldy boy is down. As we find a book for Desert Palace. That's a full clear dungeon with gloves and boots and a fire source.
The Seed really wants us to finish off all the Light World dungeons before we get to the Dark World.
Yeah, with Eastern Palace already being cleared, the Tower of Hera already being cleared, Desert Palace going to be cleared. That's some really nice routing to have in a Seed. Going into Dark World with 3 crystals already in your pocket?
It's going to make any runner feel really good.
And should you find the hammer sometime before, you can add Thieves Town to that list. Getting 4 crystals within 40 minutes is a good feeling to have.
And if they find Fire Rod, that's 5.
Yeah.
Along with Pyramid Fairy.
Of course, we still have to find that Moon Pearl first, even before that hammer, to guarantee that our players will not be in their bunny sprites. I know Mega Man X is a light-projected Dr. Light. I did not see what Tabbycat was. I'm assuming some sort of animal variant. As we have almost perfect sync between our players, they find just a single red rupee in the last check of Tower of Hera.
So early that you don't mind checking this. Especially since you're right here, and if you don't do this right now, you're probably an orphan for a really long time.
As it will be interesting to see if... Oh, there's that Moon Pearl! Right here next to Hera. So it'll be interesting to see if Tabbycat goes to check Agina with the desert checks. Then we will have essentially an equal matchup between our players.
I don't see why you don't, especially with that book already paying off. So Recitador's gonna go check that shovel spot first. That makes sense.
Going to see what Stumpy put in the light world for us. We know what it is. It was just a heart container. Now, this may be the last race of your Friday night, early Saturday morning, but we do have more coming up for you tomorrow. We have 10 matches in total on Saturday. We've got an early morning start, as I said, between A Link to the West Coast and The Missing Bow. We have late night rando at 10:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We have Team We're Bad at Names versus The Missing Links. We have midday and evening matches scheduled between Mystic and Alex Hacks, representing Reheated Leftovers and Major Mistakes at 2:40 Eastern.
We got our mitts on Desert Ledge.
Alright, that will be our Dark World access, so no AGA today, unless we need it to go over to the right side of Dark World. But even then, we're okay, because we have some webby toes!
The only way AGA could still be alive is if Thieves Town does not require the hammer for killing Blind, and then hammer could still be in Pyramid Fairy. But that is a very unlikely situation.
Why would you need AGA for that?
Because then you can't, because the bomb, you have to take the red bomb over to the Pyramid Fairy, and that you can't get,
yeah.
And then you have to mirror in front of AGA. But there are some ancilla ways to get around that, but don't know if our runners know how to do that, because that is a fairly new trick.
And more than likely, we're going to find that hammer before we even think about delivering a big red bomb to a fairy that lives next door to Ganon.
Very true.
As we see our 2 racers progress through Desert Palace. Going to be picking up those Titan's mitts when they leave on the left-hand side. as we find just 50 roops inside the right side of desert.
It's another full clear of desert to get everything. So Ambrosia didn't help us here either.
We still have the Lamolas.
No, because they had to check every single chest, so there wasn't really a help of Ambrosia's because they knew where the last item was.
Yeah, unfortunately nothing in that big chest, nothing on that lamp. As we see Recitador getting their big golden glove, going to find a Lamolas to slaughter it and sacrifice it to the Light World gods.
That gold sword should make pretty easy work of these Lamolas. I think it's just 2 slashes and they're down.
As Tabbycat, essentially just a room behind Recitador, going through Desert Palace. Now, as I mentioned earlier, both of these teams in the Light World Conference, in the Hyrule Castle Division, Forfeiters are us, are in the league, getting the max amount of points available to them so far in this race season. Hyrule Track and Field got 3 points last week, looking for more to stay within relatively close reaching range of the rest of the division, but it's still early on, as we're only in week 2 of this wonderful team racing league here on Speed Gaming Network.
These are going to be a busy next few weeks. A lot of rando.
Yeah, next week being an interesting week of rando, it's going to be Randomizer, just straight up boss shuffle, so we're not going to get repeat Trinexes or anything like that. And then come the interesting weeks. Week 4 is Evolution. It's a complete mystery seed.
Actually, we can have repeat bosses. There's three bosses that are doubled randomly.
Yes, the Light World bosses are that are in Ganon's Tower are also thrown into the mix, but that's just vanilla bosses at that point.
No, we could have 2 Trinexes.
Really? I was told that you're not going to see repeat bosses that way.
Yeah, you definitely can, because there was a weekly 2 days ago, or sorry, a daily 2 days ago, which I commentated on, and we had 2 Argus.
Yes. There's 2 different settings to Randomizer. There's just your standard boss shuffle, and then random.
So that the Randomizer that we played on Wednesday was the week 3 league settings.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well then, there we go.
Yeah.
So, that will be interesting to see how many Trinexes we find in different dungeons. That's always the fun part of Randomizer with Randomizer. As we get our map check here from Tabbycat, we see those red crystals in Skullwoods and Thieves Town, along with all of the pendants being on the backside of Vanilla. As it looks as though Tabbycat going to be checking out Graveyard Ledge, Bumper Cave, and more than likely that King's Tomb.
And we got Powder over here in the chest game. Another great fetch quest, but also a nice safety.
As I did not notice what was on Bumper Ledge, sir, chat will inform us. As we just find 20 rupees in the brewery, that may be the secret ingredient to make that nice, maybe alcoholic beverage taste a little bit better. Thank you very much, chat, for informing us what was on that Bumper Ledge. Always count on them. And our wonderful tracker for us this evening.
We got a hammer in Graveyard Ledge.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thieves Town completely clearable right there.
So Tabbycat making that divergence and getting rewarded for it. Now, do remember, chat, you can hit that exclamation point R to bring up our wonderful runners' Twitch channels. Go ahead and click on that and give them each a follow. They do this to entertain all of us, and we all love Rando. We all love supporting everyone in the community. And also another shout out to our wonderful tracker, Moogle Charm, on it like a boss. Tabbycat going right side does have the availability of full clearing pod at this point, looping in Catfish and Pyramid. As we don't really find anything much in the front of Thieves Town.
Yeah, Recitador just leaving, not without that hammer. Makes perfect sense.
And finding the map in the front means you have a couple more items in the back, meaning more and more likely that that last item is going to be in that big chest. As we get a Catfish check here on the left and a dig game on the right.
Bombs on one side, and I predict bombs on the other. But we're still waiting.
Lots of digs this evening to find a bloomerang.
Oh, I'd go ahead and pick that up. It's really nice for menuing. But Recitador saying no, I don't need that stinking bloomerang.
Now, without hammer, this smith check is not as efficient as you want. We know that hammer is on that graveyard ledge, but we're going to be able to do about 95% of everything that you would do with this smith check and South Dark World. Just some cash on the pyramid ledge. Now, Recitador does have that powder. Does he mirror back into the Dark World and go into batter from this side? Looks as though he's going to be passing it up, looping that in with hammer pegs once he does find that hammer.
It does make sense. He would lose his portal because we know hammer is not the batter.
Yes, but with boots and your Titan's Mints, the portal really isn't that far away. Just interesting different ways you can route everything in together, which is why this game is such a beauty.
Tabbycat is going straight to that pod play.
Makes sense. It has your highest density of items. You can get in now. You can loop in Catfish with it. You can loop in the Pyramid. As soon as you're done with pod, you can go right to South Dark World and clear all of that out.
Quite true. Nothing on our front Stumpy.
And just a small key in the front of pod here. Interesting, Tabby's just going to go straight through up the gut, not check the bow-locked items. We do have boots that you can bonk off the stairs and head back up this way from the bow-locked. Either way, you really don't have a bad choice as to which one you do first.
Just 10 arrows in that purple chest. We'll see if Recitador, he's going straight for that Bombos tablet.
Makes sense, you're looping it in. You'll come back, you do Hype Cave. With your current layout, you could check the first, or what is technically the second chest of Swamp Palace. We have seen lots of seeds with that second chest in Swamp Palace having progression before you could even clear it.
Quite true.
Looks as though he's heading over to Hype Cave. Now, going through the list of available games for you to consume tomorrow, there's one key matchup in my mind. Tomorrow at 7:40 p.m. Eastern, we have The Land of the Blind versus the Sexy Ganons, Yodanashi versus Yagamoth. I'm going to shamelessly plug this. Go Yodanashi. That's my team I'm on.
Ah. That makes sense.
But again, I say I don't want any of our lovely runners on any team to lose a race, but we must have a winner. And if we have to have a winner, I hope it's the person who's on my team. As we see Yagamoth in chat with us, again, no hard feelings. I don't want you to lose, but I really want Yodanashi to win.
I mean, you can't really blame you, can anybody?
As we see Recitador heading into pod as well. So far, nothing progressive-wise here through pod.
And normally pod's fairly stacked. Today, so far, it hasn't had much. But then again, we are getting rid of them.
Recitador, this is only going to be a dip versus Tabbycat's going to be able to full clear all the way through Helmasaur and pick up another crystal as we find a magical cape inside the dark basement.
That cape might lead Recitador back to Bumper Ledge and those Graveyard Ledge checks.
That's true. He has not checked North Dark World, so it would make sense that's where you would be heading next. Now, these Triceratops fire-spitting jerks, they always just seem to be able to find where you're walking to and spit that fire out.
But they're also very good for when you need to have a death warp because you don't have the mirror.
That they are. They hit like a truck.
And I think they do 1 heart of damage. The fire does 1 heart of damage no matter what mail you're on. Oh, there's the fire rod.
Nice for Tabbycat, going to be able to go back into the Dark Village, do Thieves Town, do Skull Woods after doing all of this Palace of Darkness, and then more than likely just kind of looking for that hook shot to complete the rest of the seed.
Yeah, we're trucking along here pretty quick.
As we get prepared for a Helmasaur fight, wouldn't it be something if that hook shot was on Helmasaur?
That would be very nice for the runners, or at least for Tabbycat. It might be a while before Recitador comes back to pod. There's only one item here versus many items everywhere else.
Especially after having to dip this, not with that hammer. Just an unfortunate break. You can route everything in as optimally as you can and just get randoed on.
It's a very nice quote there, Fernando Don. And very true.
Yeah, you could just, you make all the density plays, nothing's there. You make all the routing decisions properly, nothing's there. You can kill all the bosses better than your opponent. And because they chose the right path over you early on and saves them doing an additional dungeon dip, you end up coming in second place. Not saying that's what's going to happen to Recitador. We have a lot of time left. That hookshot could be in a very evil place.
Like Ice Palace.
Or like on a Green Pendant Mire, because we have boots. We don't need that in Logic.
Yes, that's true. Now let's see what Helma has here now.
As Recitador picks up that magical cape, going to find that fire rod in the big chest. Nice little tink hammer shots here on Helmasaur. He's gonna melt with that butter. We're gonna have Helmosaur burgers here in a second.
And he's down.
Tabbycat going to pick up their 4th crystal of the seed, a little over 47 minutes in. That's really nice.
Just explosions, though. So we're still looking for that hook shot.
If I had the seed, I would have a stupid, dumb grin on my face going, holy cow, I can PB this. If I find that hook shot super early. As we see Recitador get that fire rod, going to have to mirror and make other checks before heading off to get that hammer on Graveyard Ledge. And now what's nice is finding that fire rod means you can loop in Skullwoods with that North Dark World check for Recitador. So finding that cape and fire rod should push him up toward that section of the world.
Where is Tabbycat heading?
Swamp Palace Dip?
Swamp without the hook shot. It could easily have it. Vanilla.
You do also have all of the South Dark World checks to make here for Tabbycat. You can head
that's true. Tabby went through the north side, not the south side.
That's right.
Yep.
So Tabby gonna be working their way up into Thieves Town and Skullwoods from the south. Makes perfect sense having those Titans mitts. We just know, unfortunately, there's not too much in the item pool for them.
Correct.
Now, a Swamp Palace dip isn't actually a bad play here. Yes, you are limited to only having 5 items potentially for you in the front, but if you find that hook shot, you're then in go mode. But we see, going to check the tablet over here in Desert. Perfectly fine routing.
It's not going to pay off.
For as stacked as Tabby probably feels, playing a little conservatively right here makes sense. You're kind of hoping that your opponent decided to do the Dark Village and not head north first.
And Theodore is making that play into Skullwoods here.
Again, makes perfect sense. Skullwoods being a red crystal, you're going to be able to loop in North Dark World, get your boots checks along with it.
Best way to route this in Ambrosia is back to front. Especially if you have Fire Rod, because then you can just grab that one item, and then as soon as you find that second item, you can nope out of Skullwoods and just be done.
Yep. And that's what we're doing in this Ambrosia mode. If you're just joining us, all of the bosses and all of the dungeons have to have a regular item on them. No big keys, no small keys, no compass, no map. Has to be item pool item. Now, with that Butter Sword and Fire Rod, this Moth fight shouldn't be too terribly difficult, but in Green Mail, he can hit like a truck, and if you have bad Spike RNG, you're going to be having a bad time. But we'll see how Recitador does. Grabbing that key off of the Gibdo. As Tabbycat finds that Bloomerang in the dig game.
Moth not playing nice, taking the top of the arena.
Yep.
Oh, gets him down anyways.
Butter Sword melts through Moths like a hot knife through grease. You all thought I was going to say butter.
So that is their 4th crystal.
Making this an even crystal race, but unfortunately there's no easy way to route in Palace of Darkness unless you find a flute.
Which we may not find this seed.
Yeah, since Meyer isn't necessary.
There's the hook shot. That's go mode.
At 52:25, Tabbycat is our first runner in go mode.
Wow. Well, pseudo go mode. We don't know if the big key is on the right side, and we came for GT.
Yeah, this is a Schrodinger's go mode. Red Cane does lock off 5 total chests in GT, but your probability of having to do that side is relatively low. As we see Recitador having a little bit of trouble with this statue moving. It still may be a little too far left. No, he's okay.
So this is one of the few times we get a go mode Thieves Town, which unfortunately is not going to be any faster because you still have to bomb open the attic. But you do get to skip the front 3 tests here and here, which is nice in the main area.
Especially since that big key was in that first check. Tabby may be looking for an armor upgrade or a couple more hearts, maybe even a safety bottle or 2, or perhaps even the silvers to make their Ganon fight just that much easier. As we see Recitador entering into the Skullwoods hole on the left, knowing that the last item is going to be somewhere over here. Unfortunately for Recitador, we know where he needs to go. And chat bringing up a good point. You may want to be searching for that red cane in case you do have the unfortunate luck of having the big key on the hybrid right.
Also, after Recitador gets that hammer, it's going to be get back to hammer pegs. It's going to be a difficult play to make.
Well, yeah, you do have that powder though, so that does loop in 2 checks right there. The biggest
they haven't completed Thieves Town, so that's going to drag them back to that area too. They only grabbed the first 4. So we'll see.
And there are those silvers. That's going to help with making up a little bit of time in perhaps a couple of different boss fights and killing Ganon, but that's about it, since both runners do have that melty goodness of Butter Sword.
And it looks like Recitador is making that play over to North Darkwood now.
Yeah, hopefully he decides to head on over to Thieves Town and Hammer Pegs before going over to finish Pod. And really, the best thing for Recitador is finding a red cane before Tabbycat and hoping that it is right side locked in GT. It being the big key.
Yeah.
As Recitador is going to find a hammer here in Graveyard Ledge, maybe let out a little bit of a sigh, and hoping that Tabbycat did not go in this direction to start the Dark World routing. Now, we do have races on Sunday at 1:10 p.m. On Undecided channel just yet. We have another Land of the Blind versus the Sexy Ganons. It's going to be Ben Creighton versus another representative from the Sexy Ganons. Again, go Blinders.
Though I will say, this is the first seed that I've seen where you did not have to go, and nobody went to the east side of Death Mountain. Because that's somewhere normal people go right away as soon as they have access. We never got that hook shot, so...
As I'm actually going to be polite and pull up Ben's opponent. I don't want to seem like I'm a jerk. Let's see here. It's Ben versus Fant. I know Fant. Fant's a good racer. Again, I don't wish any losses upon any racer, but when it comes to my team, I wish only the wins. As we get Tabbycat going through their Skullwoods, do you just go ahead and go to Mothula and peace out, not looking for that red cane?
I think so. Especially because that last item is in the big chest, which is a pain to get to. I think you go kill Moth and you leave.
Makes absolutely perfect sense. As we watch Recitador head into Thieves Town to go ahead and complete the rest of the dungeon. Not going to find their hook shot in here. We know where that's at. That's at Hammer Pegs. And you're going to be kicking yourself that you didn't go get that hammer earlier on. And you're going to feel bad, but again, logically, you made all the sound plays. As Captain Picard says, you can make all the right decisions and still lose. That's not poor decision-making. That's just life.
Or in this case, Rando.
Yep, Rando going Rando. So as we've been saying, the biggest thing that will help Recitador is finding perhaps a red cane and the GT big key being locked by the right-hand side. As we prepare for Tabbycat's Mothula fight, Buttersword, Fire Rod, gonna be nice and easy to melt this Mothman. As Tabbycat getting a little bit more of a generous Mothman. He is staying a little bit... Ooh, a hard death for Tabbycat. And no fairy in a bottle. Gonna have to climb back through the back of
doesn't have Goo up on magic, though.
So Recitador is going to get a little bit more time to go ahead and catch up here with that death on Mothula from Tabbycat. That's just unfortunate. Sometimes, you know, when you're one swipe away and you just want to kill him, a spike ball will come up from the wall and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
That was a very nice magic drop by the Gibdo there.
Yeah, sometimes they like to be nice and give you that full magic. Not too much of a time loss for Tabbycat, as long as Recitador does not head over to Hammer Pegs to pick up that hook shot, but if you're over here in Thieves Town, it's just a short little jaunt away, you may as well check it. As Mothman number 2, the Revengeancing. Tabbycat just throwing that fire right at it, not even going to be bothering of getting up close and personal, as moth hugs are not fun. Especially in that green mail.
Down to 3 hearts.
Oh!
But gets him.
Yes! Ooh. The worst part of Mothman here is the psychic beams it shoots out. It's kind of like a Butterfree, and it uses confusion to shoot out those beams. In green mail, that is 3 hearts apiece. You'd much rather take a moth hug or a spike. As we see a pretty easy blind fight here from Recitador, picking up those red rupees and their 5th crystal of the seed. Now Tabbycat's just going to go right into Swamp Palace from a save and quit. Will be interesting to see how many chests Tabbycat checks as they progress through Swamp Palace. You would really hate to miss the red cane.
Recitador's making the right play here.
Yep. Gonna get that hook shot over in Hammer Pegs. more than likely going to save and quit and head over to Palace of Darkness. Or he can go ahead and head over into Swamp Palace at the same time Tabbycat's doing it.
Hour 2 go mode for Recitador, which is still amazing.
That's pretty good time. Just probably beating himself up over, oh, man, I could have had that hammer so early, and it's just, as runners, we feel his pain.
Absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see if he goes down or goes right. Silvers were in big chest of Skullwoods. Now, if Tabbycat decides to full clear looking for Red Cane, and Recitador decides to go mode, that could close the gap in time here.
Could, but I don't see Tabbycat grabbing anything more than just chests on the way.
As Tabbycat does skip that first item chest on the left-hand side behind a bombable wall here in Swamp Palace. If Recitador feels behind, does he open up chests looking for Red Cane and hoping that right side GT is closed? Be interesting to see.
An interesting thought, but I don't know if I'd feel behind if I'm at go mode an hour or 2 in. Even if, well, considering where Hammer was, maybe, but we'll have to ask them.
One of those difficult choices. Yeah, that Tabbycat going right for North Dark World, getting that hammer, being able to do pod in one go versus the dip for Recitador, who doesn't have a flute to flute on over to that portal, has to take the long way to get there.
That's true.
That's just going to be adding time, which is why a right side lock GT for Red Cane is the biggest hopes he can have, and finding that Red Cane before Tabbycat. And it's still early. We can have a Ganon fall, we could have a Death climbing up in through the gauntlet, so there's still room for Recitador to catch up. That green mail and single row of hearts is no joke climbing up GT.
Even Ganon does a lot of damage when you're just on green mail.
That could even be, for example, a missed torch glitch could help Recitador catch up in the end.
Yeah, with those silvers, won't even need torch glitch.
As Tabbycat prepares to enter into the Argus room, a hookshot pull, a swipe, a hookshot pull, a swipe, or 2 hookshots and a swipe will get this Argus popcorn boy down really quick.
Ooh, going for, just messed up the speed strat. If you dash at the oh no, never mind, got it on the right side. As soon as we have Argus down here, we have a game we like to play here on this channel when we have all 7 crystals going up to Ganon's Tower.
Oh, the anticipation is building.
We have 22 chests, and people can guess 1 through 22. As soon as Tabbycat leaves here, we can start the game, and as soon as Tabbycat enters, we will stop.
And there go those numbers.
So where do you guess? Where do you like to guess?
I always guess 14. In honor of my favorite baseball player of all time.
And that is?
Good old Paul Konerko.
Alright. I guess 11, but no rhyme or reason behind it.
I also like seeing Rando Room.
Alright. Which 14 will, without that Red Cane, will be in Rando Room.
Yep, and even with Red Cane, it's still in Rando Room.
Oh, that's a nice. That's a nice twist.
So yeah, even if you go full right, 14 is that first chest. If you don't go full right, 14 is the last chest. Or it's Bob's chest, that's right. It's just the second to last, which I don't mind a Bob's chest either. Rando room or Bob's chest is always a nice location to have.
Very true.
As Tabbycat making their way up through Super Bunny, makes sense if you happen to find a safety, an armor upgrade. That's really going to help you make your climb up and through. There's that armor upgrade.
That's nice. Cuts in half damage for most.
As we see Recitador entering into Pod for the second time. And as soon as we finish climbing those stairs, we're going to be closing off the game. As Tabbycat enters the door, we're going to stop this GT guessing game. We've got 35 internet points up for grabs. They're good for absolutely nothing. First check is that flute on the left-hand side, and a red goo. So we are left side blocked. No red cane today. We are in full go mode.
So that green pendant was never getting pulled.
Though it could perhaps still be on that right side if we don't find the big key here. It's just very, very unlikely.
That would be very mean to put Kane in Misery Mire after Flute and GT.
Put the ice rod in Misery Mire area, make Turtle Rock the Quake and Mire Bombos.
Oh,
and
that's just evil.
Put Red Cane in the cutscene chest. As we get through chests number 3 through 6, no big key just yet.
That was actually 4 through 7 with the big chest, with the
that's right.
torch. Yep.
I always forget that dang torch. Here's number 8, as we see a Helmosaur fight on Recitador's side. Just a little piece of love. As Recitador just using the full bonks from the Hammer Smash. But 2 swipes with the Butter Sword is going to melt Helmosaur and get us some nice Helmosaur burgers.
Oh, no Kane in here and no boomerang, so you have to use bomb strats. Flip the switches.
As we prepare for chest number 9 here in the Fire Snake room. Another small key. We do get that rando room. As Recitador heading up the mountain to enter their GT. Really, honestly, that pod dip behind. The Mothula death from Tabbycat closing the gap from finding the hammer so soon. As we get chest number 13 here, still no big key. Bob's chest lives. And if you're Tabbycat, you're starting to get a heart palpitation. There's only 4 chests left before you know what's on right side.
This is going to be very interesting. The sea has been very nice so far. Maybe.
Oh that
no!
Dead rock.
That was cruel and unusual punishment. Right in the door.
I mean, Recitador's going to make up a little bit of time for not picking up that mail in Super Bunny Cave, but that dead rock was not too nice. As we see Bob's chest here. a single room.
Yet.
We have the 3 Armos checks left before we are Red Cane locked. Which may be great news for Recitador.
Of course, Red Cane could also just be over here in Paradox.
It could be. Perhaps some ghostly celestial feeling will go into Recitador if we don't find the big key here behind the Ice Armos. Arrows! Goo!
It's on the right side!
We are Red Cane locked, ladies and gentlemen. Recitador, don't go into GT. Whatever you do, leave, and you will be right back in this race. As Tabbycat going to complete Hookshot Cave, maybe do a seeing what's on the floating island. This is ridiculous, chat.
It makes the most sense just to go over here and check this right side Death Mountain.
If you are feeling the pain of these runners and want to give them a supportive follow, click that exclamation mark R. You will see links to each of the runners' Twitch channels. Do that for them, because we all feel the pain right now. You can then use that mirror portal to check Hookshot Cave. He's already done Super Bunny.
Yep.
Recitador, take a sign from the gods, as Ultimate Warrior would do, just staring at his hands, talking to the gods. Seeing that Dark Magician has nothing for he's left the chest!
Why'd you leave the chest? Ice Rod. Okay, but it can't be in Turtle Rock, unfortunately.
Yes, Turtle Rock being that Ether Medallion and being Red Cane locked anyway, we know our runners do not have to enter Turtle Rock.
Seed was so nice, right up until the end.
There's Bombos! There's Ether! But we know we can't do anything in Turtle Rock without that Red Cane.
But there is one item in Mire.
There's 3 items potentially in Mire.
Well, no, we can't beat the boss.
Yep, we can't beat the boss without that Red Cane. You do have Titans, you do have Fire Rod and Bombos, Ice Palaces and Logic. We have the Pyramid Fairy open as well. Recitador, the Cosmos are speaking to you. Get out of GT!
We got Hookshot Cave here.
Makes perfect sense.
Oh, there it is.
Alright, now we're in go mode at 1:15:52. Wouldn't it be funny if the big key was in tile room the whole time and you didn't need that Red Cane?
No, you still need the Red Cane to get to it. You still have to flip the. You have to put the.
You have to flip the switch down. Yep.
Yep. But that would still be very trolly and very nice.
We should start a new chess game. 1 through 6. What is it gonna be? Or 1 through 5. What's it gonna be?
So this will be 18 through 21.
Yes.
For the official game.
Unfortunately, chat, we're going to be taking the 18 through 21 numbers that anyone had submitted.
Oh. There is a full magic here to pick up, though, so.
Just a little late on getting over to the south side here. Recitador, the cosmos speaks to you. They are telling you to do Hookshot Cave first. They are saying Hookshot Cave. All right, number 18 is that
it's
big
18.
key.
Just checking all the rest of the for posteriority.
As Jay Saressa 2 is our winner of the Ganon's Tower Big Key guessing game. You have won 35 internet points. Other players winning as well is Italy, Laddie49, Angry Panda. I'm sorry, I read that name and it just made me laugh.
It is a very good, nice name. I like your name. Angry Pandas are angry.
You get bonus points for being the second and third to guess. As Recitador heard the cosmos picking up that red cane from Hookshot.
Unfortunately, I don't think silvers are enough to make up the gap here.
A death would be, though, somewhere on the gauntlet.
And I think Tabbycat used up their blue potion already, too, so...
We're more than likely going to see a safety room dip here. Gotta be careful, 2 hearts. Yeah, I got a blue.
Alright.
Safeties is definitely going to close the gap. I don't think it will be enough to actually do that unless we see Tabbycat struggle with a boss fight. If Tabbycat doesn't get a worse than 2 cycle on Landmos, because those silver strats on Lamola 2 are wicked quick.
They are.
So if Tabbycat does like a 4 cycle Lamolas 2, this is gonna be pretty close. Recitador more than likely looking for an armor upgrade, not gonna be finding it. As we know, the only armor upgrade in the pool before the climb that we saw is in Super Bunny. That also could be a difference. Recitador a little bit more squishy compared to their counterpart Tabbycat.
But Tabbycat's making quick work of this gauntlet.
Buttersword will do that. But with silvers, these mimics are going to be 1 shot, 1 kill. As we see a 2 cycle here for Tabbycat.
Quick 2 cycle though, so didn't get too far into that.
Yeah, it was highly unlikely you would see less than a 2 cycle on those Lamolas. It's just 2 swipes and a fire rod shot, or 3 swipes with that butter, a spin, and you got them down. As we see the first most satisfying room in all of Rando history, Wizrobes 1, and we come to the second most satisfying room in Rando history, Wizrobe number 2.
And we actually have Kane for it, this seed.
As we see a safety room for Recitador, makes perfect sense. Get a magic refill, get that heart refill. You are a bit squishy. Right now, a Moldorm Bonk, a bad rotation on Aga 2, a Ganon Fall, could be the difference in this race.
We are very, very close. Here.
As Tabbycat going just straight for the Lamolas, not going to be, or going for the Moldorm instead of checking those 2 chests, makes perfect sense. You have powder, you can get a refill here. You're really not looking for anything else. As we see Recitador enter into the second to last room of the gauntlet, making quick work of it. As we see Moldorm 2 go down with 2 quick swipes. We're going to see a quick Lamolas fight here from Recitador with those silver arrows. Ooh, missing the first one. Misses the second. Oh!
Oh dear.
Hits 1. Hits 2, but is going to be stuck on a 3 cycle. As this ice conveyor belt bumper room...
4 cycle.
4 cycle. Oh, just... feels now he definitely needs a Ganon fall for Tabbycat, a missed rotation or 2 from Aga 2, as we get ready for a Geometry Wizard. A 1 hit for Tabbycat.
There's some not nice pattern. Ooh,
a 0 rotation for Tabbycat. Makes up for it with a double. We are 3 hits away from taking out this wizard.
Oh, single.
A 1 rotation, 2 hits away from defeating this evil wizard. 1 more strike.
There we go.
As we eliminate Aga. As we watch Recitador open up torch room number 1. Gonna have to grab that magic refill. Still has a Moldorm and a wizard to kill as we see Tabbycat break on through to the other side of that pyramid. Entering Ganon at 1 hour 23:32. Oh, the
bomb! That bomb can be deceptively tricky.
As we see Tabbycat entering in to make some bacon.
6 slashes here. Should be pretty fast.
6 slashes in phase 2, 4 in phase 3, but then we have 12 spins versus Recitador has 4 arrow shots. A missed cycle.
Tabbycat will need that torch glitch. Doesn't have full magic.
Does have a green potion in pocket though.
That's true.
But a missed cycle or 2 with the spins is going to set Tabbycat back, allowing Recitador a little bit more space to get those silver arrow shots in. As we push Ganon here into phase 4 with 1 more sword swipe.
Quit warping, would ya?
As Recitador gets a 0 cycle. Gets a 1 cycle on number 2.
A triple, though.
Got a triple! 3 more shots away! As Tabbycat did get that torch glitch, 2 more shots away for Recitador. This should be it. There we go, as he's going to be entering into a pig fight here. Approximately 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 12 seconds. This is close, ladies and gentlemen.
That's good.
As Tabbycat keeps spinning the win. A bonk, a rogue bat, a couple of missed cycles could spell doom for Tabbycat. There's a missed spin. Getting really close to making that bacon. Just a couple more, Tabbycat. 1 swing from Recitador. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, pushing the phase.
Oh, gets hit by Ganon.
Tabbycat. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, laying in those strikes onto Ganon for Recitador. Be careful of your health, dude. Still has a blue goo and a red goo.
That's it. That's Ganon down for Tabbycat.
And Tabbycat able to get that bacon made. As Recitador hits phase number 3.
All Tabbycat has to do is cross a 1x3 bridge.
And Tabbycat finishes the seed with an SRL time officially at 1 hour, 26 minutes, 17 seconds. And it looks as though that is a PB in this race league for them. Congratulations. Recitablade, not that far behind, having that nice silvers.
What a race. I need to end a deep breath after that race.
Wow.
Nice job. GG, Tabbycat.
Oh, not going for the doubles Recitador. Recitador may have seen that GG in the SRL. Needing 1 more arrow to make that Hormel bacon. kills his pig. As we get the victory fanfare, GG Tabbycat, what a seed!
Oh my god, I galaxy brain that hammer. Galaxy brain that I was like, I was like, well, I don't know where to go. Okay, just I got the boots, I've got the mirror. I'm just gonna go over there, and if it's something, then awesome. If it's not, then okay, whatever. I've got thieves down, whatever. And then it's like, okay.
And a GG in the chat for Recitador, who has an official SRL time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 21 seconds, a more than respectable time, making up a lot of ground on Tabbycat. He had to double dip pod, and that's it. That was the difference in this race.
Yeah, he went into pod without a hammer and had to go back.
Ooh, I'm kind of happy I didn't do that one, but I just
As we see Recitador ready and willing to join us here in the interview, with Tabbycat joining us. Yeah, that galaxy plane in the hammer was something.
Something, all right.
So, at what point in Ganon's tower did you feel your heart beating faster and faster?
Oh god, when I saw the Armos right behind Armos, and I just no, it was in Rando room. I was like, no, and it's like,
yeah, I started feeling that at Bob's chest. Because I normally guess 14, and for your routing, that was 14 for me. I'm like, oh boy, we've got only 3 more checks here. Oh boy.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, I've got both Light and Dark Death Mountain. I can go both at the same time. We'll just go both at the same time. And I kind of mush-brained for a second. I was like, wait, where do I put portals to do things? Okay, put it there. That's fine. We'll put it there.
As we're joined by Recitador, GG's hard rando luck with that hammer location, and a brilliant galaxy brain play by Tabbycat just puts you a little bit too behind to catch up, but you made up some time at the end with those silvers and that GT climb.
Yeah, GG, that would have been a even faster seed if I had just gone north a little sooner.
Well, we were saying in chat, much like Picard says, you can make every right decision and still end up with a poor result, and that's what you did. You went for density checks over Galaxy Brain, and just unfortunately did not put what you needed in front of you until the very end. Not saying that Tabby played poorly. She played great. 2 really well-paced runners on what was almost essentially a jet seed. You guys finished, a minute and a few seconds apart, and the Palace of Darkness dip was the difference.
Yeah, once I saw the hammer, I knew I didn't need to double dip pod. That didn't feel too great. I think other than that, just the only things that was really making me feel any kind of way were just the little mistakes that were piling up here and there. But I mean, they weren't like terrible, but had a few little like issues.
Yeah, I died to Moth, and once I died to Moth, I was like, oh, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it. And I kept looking in there. I got to GT, and I was like, there's no dot done. Wait, it's only 1 hour and 4 minutes. I mean, no, he's probably that good. Okay, we're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna keep going.
Yeah, that Moth death, and then Recitador ended up doing Hookshot Cave first before you ended up doing it as your last Death Mountain check. That was really where he made up a lot of time, and having silvers on Ganon. He ended up missing doing the 1 cycle on Lamola's, but your Lamola was okay getting a 3 cycle as well, so there was really... it was a 2 cycle for you. It was a... Yeah. So really not much time made up there, but that difference in pod was just looming over Recitador until he found that hammer, and we were asking as everyone was doing Go Mode Dungeons, hey, do you keep checking for Red Cane until you find it? And go, okay, well, if I found Red Cane and didn't need it, I might have lost this race, but it's better than going on a hunt?
There's no way you look for Kane in that situation in a 1v1.
Yeah, I just...
No.
All I did was just check things that were in the way. If they weren't in the way, I wasn't going to check it. So, there's no way, because you don't know what your opponent has. You just have to assume your opponent's found it already. So, one way or the other.
I would have gladly traded silvers for an earlier hammer, though, so... yeah.
So, in the next upcoming weeks, it hasn't been decided what weeks you guys are running. If you had to choose, what week are you most looking forward to and wanting to run the most?
Cross keys all the way, entrance is life.
Spoiler. I love being a pilot.
Awesome.
I've been co-oping with my teammates, and I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fun with that co-piloting. We're going to see a lot of low times with all of those spoilers available to you. That's really going to be the showcase of execution and skill in playing Link to the Past Randomizer, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're going to have some 6-7 heart seeds.
I try to aim for 10 if I'm piloting, personally.
If I'm piloting, I try to aim for 8. But sometimes, like, I think it was one of the ones I did with Scruff, we didn't even get... No, it was the one I did with Jetters. We didn't even get to 6 hearts until after we got through Turtle Rock and we were going to Ganon. His tower. So we didn't even get our 6th heart. So it was insane.
Well, again, GG to both of our runners here this evening. Go ahead and give them a follow with that exclamation mark R in the chat. You will find links to each of their individual Twitch channels. Do the same for your commentating team, Antissim and myself, Worldwide_Wimpy, and our wonderful tracker tonight, Moogle Charm, as well, doing an excellent job in keeping pace with our runners going through this seed as quickly as possible. So good luck to you two runners in the future. I always say we don't want any losers here in these races, but unfortunately most of the time we can only have one winner.
GG's Recitador. It was a very fun seed, and I appreciate, I know we had to switch runners midway because my timing didn't work with who we were going to have me run against, so I thank you.
GG.
And if you want more rando action, we do have a full slate of 10 races for you tomorrow across the Speed Gaming Network and ALTTPR Race League channel. We start off early in the morning at 10:10 in the morning with a race between a Link to the West Coast and Missing Bow. We go as late as 10:10 p.m. in the evening on Saturday with a race between Team We're Bad at Team Names versus the Missing Link. We have a full slate on Sunday, and then week 3 starts on Monday, where we're in another 128 total race seeds. So if you like Zelda Rando and you want to consume as much as you can, you have future options. For Moogle Charm, Antissim, Recitador, and Tabbycat, I am Worldwide Wimpy, thanking everyone who joined us in the race this evening. You guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend.